So today we're going to look at the rig that I use at every gig. Every single gig I use this particular rig. In fact, some gigs this is the only rig that I use because it's so powerful. We've got cleans, crunches, dirties, and very heavy sounds. We've got octaves, and we've got vibratos and delays in multiple times. We've got big lush reverbs and regular reverbs. We've got all of that built into one rig, which highlights the power of the Headrush. This works with MX5, Gigboard, Pedalboard, and Prime. So I'll have download links below. This rig makes use of a new feature they added in firmware fairly recently, a few months ago. That feature is that you can now have two scenes assigned to each foot switch. What that allows me to do is have multiple sounds on the same foot switch. So for example, on this one here, I've got it set to a green clean, a Fender Super Reverb. But if I hit the same foot switch, I now have a Marshall. That allows a lot of flexibility and especially useful on the MX5. So with the MX5, you've only got 3 foot switches. Now you've got a way to access 6 different scenes with the 3 foot switches. All right, we're going to take a listen to the next level of gain here. This is a Marshall amp, but I am using a graphic EQ to suck out some of the gain in front of the amp so it has less drive on it. Another thing this rig does is it makes extensive use of presets, and I should explain what those are in Headrush because it's maybe a little different from other products such as Line 6. A preset in Headrush is when you go to any effect on a block, like I'm going grey comp right here, you can see I have the option to choose a preset. That's just a preset for that one effect, for that one compressor in this case. So right now it's on a preset called Crystal Comp. The sustain is at 15, the level's at 100, but if I go to a different one, if I go to PW Clean, you can see the sustain's now changed to 50% and the level to 21%. Those presets are quite useful and quite powerful because they can be recalled with scenes. You can see the first time I press this, I've got the Fender Super Reverb and I've got one compressor setting, and I push it again, I've gone to the Marshall amp, and at the same time I've also changed the compressor to a different setting. Okay, the next stage of gain, this is one that I use a lot. I'm going to click the second foot switch. We've got a dirty Marshall here. It's actually the same Marshall amp that we used on the previous scenes, but now we've just turned off that graphic EQ which was cutting the gain. And now for the savage final stage of gain. If I touch this one here, you can see that it turns on the compressor and it turns on the graphic EQ, and in fact both of those are set to a boost. Our last example on the MX5 here before I switch over to the Prime, we've got a foot switch here. This is a tape echo delay, so it's going to have some modulation in it, and this is great for those Edge from U2 type sounds. Okay, as you can see, we've switched over to the Headrush Prime. All of the same settings are available on the MX5. You just have to do it by touching the screen instead of touching the foot switches. This last foot switch on the front row here, we've got a foot switch that's labeled as Vibrato, and I have 2 settings on that one. So for the clean, it's yes, you won't fail. We build our house on you. You're the place we stand on, no matter what comes through. I go to the extremely dirty sound, but still on vibrato, it actually changes it, the vibrato setting. So there's a pretty big difference between those two there, and that's the joy of using presets, is that you can have all these different settings just from one block. All right, moving up to the top row. My first setting here is a long delay. It's 800 milliseconds and it's got a bounce from left to right, which you can hear. I leave this on most of the time. It just sinks back into the mix when the whole band is playing, and it just makes the guitar sound full without adding anything that is really noticeable as being a delay. But we can turn that off for now, and we'll look at the next foot switch, which is reverb. Now I have two reverb presets going on. One of them is this basic reverb, which is on all the time. And then the second one, the reverb is turned way up.
Verse 2.
If you remember, on the third foot switch I have a tape echo. Foot switch above it controls whether that's set to quarter note or dotted eighth note. So if I press it here, it's quarter note, press it again, dotted eighth note. Okay, and so the last foot switch along the top is an octave up. So this is normal without it, and with it on. And a lot of times, instead of doing octaves manually with these two fingers, I'll just do them as a one finger octave and get a similar effect. While I've got you here, I want to make these videos as useful to you as I possibly can. So in the comments below, tell me what kind of content you'd like to see. I have one specific question: more talking or less talking? Some people skip ahead when I'm talking and go to the playing part. I've had other people tell me, hey, you're moving too fast, slow down, explain things a little more. Let me know your preferences in the comments below.